I'm Scott Becker, the CEO of Olio Apps, and we've been doing a hackathon. My role has been kind of the DevOps coordinator, so that's kind of like overseer of the factory of the software and making sure that everything is getting through the factory line and getting deployed. So it's sort of where the rubber hits the road to make sure what we're doing has an end result that someone can see on the internet. This particular hackathon, we are still in the midst of building an attempt at a SaaS for the generative AI space. And the end result is definitely a lot of learning, so that's one definitely positive impact of it. I'm not sure if we're going to actually get things done end to end, but we're going to get close. So we're kind of building a prompt engineering workbench for other companies like us. It's kind of the tool that we needed when we did our last project that used generative AI features. So with generative AI features, the end result is only as good as the prompt, the input data, and the model that you're using. And so we wanted a way so that we could compare and contrast the results of using a different prompt or using a different model or using different input data. And so we're building that tool that we wanted for ourselves. And it's getting close. And eventually we're going to be able to iterate on the prompt and have different versions and be able to compare how the results of changing, 2 letters in the prompt or rearranging the data that you send into it has on the output. And we have also making it so that we have a way of automatically testing that, bring one change to another and quantitatively measuring, like, is this better than that? Oh yeah, I've definitely been a benefactor, or it's definitely benefited me personally, and the fact and the ability to augment my development and speed up my workflows. So I definitely see it as a change that we should not ignore. And this is another meta goal of the hackathon, is to get everybody who has not yet had a chance using AI augmented development tools such as the Cursor IDE and ChatGPT. We're obviously utilizing all the things that we can to accelerate our development. Yeah, so if you have a thought, like I need to make this certain component or I need to make this backend endpoint, you can kind of describe that and generate, something that may approximate 80% of what you need. And that's definitely helpful it's sort of like a souped up autocomplete, but with Cursor, you can even edit your own code. So if you need to change this to do this thing, you can even specify, I want to change this to that. And it may not be 100% correct. Sometimes it is. So still need some expertise in evaluating the result of what it did. Well, I'd start just using ChatGPT and typing in a question there, and don't hesitate in just experimenting and seeing what it can do. It's kind of something you need to learn, what the limitations are, because it can't do everything. And it's something that you just need to get some experience with to see where the limits are, what can this help me do, what can it not do, and you'll learn as you try things. Yeah, so when I was a teenager, I was, I've always been into computers. I got my first computer when I was 5 years old. I got a Commodore and played with it throughout my childhood. And then when I was a teenager, I started a band, and this is in the mid to late 90s, and we needed to promote ourselves. So created the website for our band and taught myself HTML and front page, and that was my gateway. Not through a roundabout way. from doing that website, not connected to that, I got an IT job where I was helping a company like kind of change out hard drives and upgrade memory and stuff. And from there, I started working on their company intranet site. This was way before boot camps, and I was doing that before I went to college. And then I went to college for MIS, which is like business with a kind of computer science-y minor. And so it was a combo of learning stuff in school, but a lot of stuff I learned kind of on the job, and just kind of snowballed from there. Entrepreneurship's always been in my family. My grandparents own their own like arts and crafts store and framing shop, and so I worked in that store with them when I was a teenager and even younger. My mom was always starting her own businesses, so it's pretty much like something I grew up with, like, oh, you could start your own business and try these things. And so I was always seeing that happen. My grandparents, my mom, and my uncles all kind of ran their own businesses. So it was always something that it was always within the realm of possibility in my head. So I worked at a few different jobs, and I learned a lot on the job, and then I just felt like maybe I can try this. That is a good question. Well, the two of us are both technical founders, and so that separates us from some, not all, but my co-founder Arn and I both worked at a prior company together, and we like successfully built projects together. So when we worked at Olio, we both knew that we could successfully ship software and help others do that. So over the years, it's grown through our like successful work with clients and reputation. So as we've expanded our client base, it's grown, and we've expanded our abilities. I don't know. Yeah, I started working with AWS like in the very early days of AWS when it was just like S3 and EC2, and I actually got early beta access to EC2. This is like in the late 2000s, like. So I've kind of been exposed to AWS for a long time, and recently in the last year we've got an AWS partnership, and that's been super beneficial because now we have contacts on the inside at AWS, and whenever we have challenges or problems, we can reach out to them. We've had a few times where we've needed to do that, and every time it's been great. They've been really helpful to us so far. And AWS partnership is, you have to jump through some hoops. So anybody that we're working with can be confident that we've achieved like a minimum level of competency and certification with AWS. Yeah, it's different for startups versus enterprise. A startup, they're in kind of the mode of like, they have a theory of what they think will be a successful business. And when we're working with a startup, we have kind of our startup hat on, where we're trying to help them prioritize for like, what is the thing that's going to like either prove or disprove this theory, and like, what is the next most important thing to work on to ship something that can answer that question so that we can get to the next question without building, too much, too fast. And when you're working with an enterprise, they have a successful, ongoing concern, and they have revenue coming in, and they have a backlog of features or bugs that they want fixed. And so that's like a different mode. We're not really helping them like prove out the product will be a success. The product is a success, and we need to accelerate it.